Hi there, welcome to Carrion Comfort News. Good morning, good Sunday afternoon, good Sunday evening to some of you, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Wes Franks. I am one of your hosts for today. Happy WrestleMania weekend, and I'm here to introduce as well, wonderful, wonderful co-host.
Hi, my name's Zoe. I'm your other host for today. My pronouns are they and she, and I am very excited to talk about a bunch of stuff in video games and film, especially a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, it's been a very, very busy week in news where it goes on with different types of media. Before we dive into that, just wanted to give a special shout out to each and every single one of our sponsors out there. We're not going to dwell too much on them or anything like that because we do have a lot of news today. But shout out to Callow. Callow's out here providing all of your game focused plant based supplement needs. Use code COMFORT at checkout to get 10% off of your order. As well, we have Dice Envy. If you're ever looking to grab some dice to fill your coffers, then consider using our referral link in chat and down in our About section to grab a very special set of Dice Envy just for you or as a gift for another. Use code, you guessed it, COMFORT at checkout for 10% off your order from Dice Envy. And then finally, we have 1985 games. They are the creators of Dungeon Craft, as well as Heroes Journals, as well as multiple different battle mats, miniatures, and their brand new products, Deck of Stories. Go ahead and use code COMFORT at checkout for 1985 games to get 10% off of all of your orders. And right now, they have a Kickstarter. This is the very first and last set of VHS themed dice that you will ever need, and they have offered us a special link to our community to help provide a little bit of help for us, so because we're helping them out. Go ahead and check out 1985 Games VHS themed sharp edge resin dice. Every single dice set is hand poured, polished, and painted. No part of this process is automated, so imperfections or differences in color can and will happen. This is due to the nature of how they are crafted, and it is completely and totally normal, which makes them unique. They also come with a commemorative VHS style slipcase and a box to help keep them safe and display them proudly. And for right now, the first 20 people who pledge on the Kickstarter that will be entered into a raffle to win a set of these dice. But you must provide proof of pledging. You can't just come up to me and be like, "Yeah, I totally did that." You gotta show me your receipts there. So yeah, let's go ahead. They are already funded, but they have stretch goals. So let's go ahead and see if we can hit those. That is everything for our sponsors. Let's get right into the news. Zoe, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with our video game news of the week?
Yeah. So the first thing I have for you is something that's very exciting to me personally. Dead by Daylight, the board game, just launched on Kickstarter. And by just launched, I mean it was about a week ago it launched, but it's still very, very, very exciting. Dead by Daylight, the board game, is being developed by Level 99 Games, a close knit team of artists, gamers, and creators based in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They have worked on things such as BattleCon, Pixel Tactics, Millennium Blades, Exceed Fighting System, and more. This Kickstarter goes until April 21st, I believe. It is also, speaking of already funded Kickstarters, already funded, to the surprise of probably no one. Dead by Daylight is a very popular video game. Um, and they are now making the board game of it. If you remember in our first episode of Carrying Comfort News, I was very excited because the Dead by Daylight dating sim was trademarked, which I'm still very excited for, but this is also something that I'm looking forward to. I have not backed it yet. I plan on it. I'm not sure what level I'm going to because the collector's edition level, you get all the killers and all the survivors besides the ones that are licensed in the video game, like Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger. But it seems really, really cool. I like asymmetrical board games. I'm
Yeah,
a really big fan of Betrayal at House on the Hill and its expansion pack. Um,
yeah.
and other games like that. Oh god, I can't even remember the name of it, but there's one that you like play with the lights off, where one of you is a vampire hunting the others. There's a really cool board game where you're like an alien on a spaceship trying to get people before they get to the escape pods.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Asymmetrical games are the best. I love them. I love them so much.
There's a German one as well that's like a traditional. It's like one of the first asymmetrical board games that's been recorded. One second, let me see if I can find the name of it.
Yeah.
Because it seemed very very cute. It is called Shadows in the Forest. Shadows in the Forest, where the players move a lantern around a forest,
Yes,
and
yes,
then
yes,
you
yes, yes.
yeah. And you play different shadows and you try to survive by not getting hit by the light and everything. Very, very cool concept. Very out of the box there.
Yes, I don't have that, but I got that as a gift for a friend way back, like when it first came out, I think. And I got to play it with him a little bit, before the pandemic happened and we
Yeah.
couldn't all hang out anymore. But it is a lot of fun too. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I cannot wait to see what comes of the Dead by Daylight board game. I'm looking at it right now, and it looks very interesting. The design looks very interesting. The collector's edition that seems like a very good deal. It's $99 plus $16 in shipping and handling. For 17 Survivor minis, 16 Killer minis, plus one Victor mini. You get Victor as well, which is Shudder on Victor. 5 Hook minis, 8 Generator minis. You get 33 player boards, 17 Survivors, 16 Killers. 2 double-sided game boards that have the Macmillan Estate, Autohaven Wreckers, Crotus Prin, Asylum, and Ormond, as well as 133 cards, different perk cards of survivors and killers, different item cards, and you have different props and more, different wound rings, dice, all that good stuff. Seems to be like a good deal. A lot if you are a big fan of just a lot of like heavy tokens and card board games instead of like a lot more simple stuff, then this seems exactly to be right up somebody's alley. I probably will not be participating in it, but I cannot wait to get dragged into playing that game at one point at a convention or something.
Oh,
I
yeah.
am fully expecting that to happen, that somebody's going to force me to play this or whatever.
I think, that wouldn't be surprising at all. Like the next PAX Unplugged Dead by Daylight board game tournaments or something like that to be
Yeah.
being run. Yeah. Oh, and the French language is now available. I just scrolled down and saw that. You'll be able to select the language for your game during the Pledge Manager at the end of the project. So if you speak French or want it in French, you can do that as well now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, well, moving on from Dead by Daylight, let's talk about Capcom, Zoe. Capcom, well-loved, some one-time much-maligned video game company from Japan, the creators of Resident Evil, Street Fighter, Monster Hunter, all these other great franchises, has made headlines very recently, breaking news essentially. Capcom has announced that they are going to raise all Japanese employees' base salary by 30% due to making record profits and the biggest success in the company's history in the past couple of years. This is due to the very, very, very smash hit launches of Monster Hunter Rise, which is their most recent release, as well as Resident Evil Village, Monster Hunter World, Devil May Cry 5, and with the upcoming excitement around Street Fighter 6, they are seeing an all-time jump in stock prices. So they have deemed it necessary for them to go ahead and turn around and pay that forward to their home employees. There's no telling of whether or not that is going to bleed over into the American employees and employees in other countries. But for right now, in their home headquarters, their home offices in Tokyo, Japan, all of their employees are going to be seeing a 30% pay raise. And a new role has been created for a chief human resources officer who is assigned to oversee the implementation of Capcom's HR goals for the coming year and beyond, which is amazing. That is fantastic. That is something that you do not see often in companies that are providing a 30% raise to salaries. That is massive.
Yeah. Normally, when you hear about big, oh God, what do you call it? Big landmark wow, I can't think of the words. Basically, whenever you hear about a very big success for a company like this, it's very
Yes,
rarely the employees that get the benefit of it. So it's
indeed.
nice to hear that Capcom is paying forward their success to their employees. It's very nice news that comes in tandem with Amazon, the Amazon Labor
Yes,
Union that just got established.
yes.
Um, it's good news recently for the workers, which is not something you get to say a lot. And it's
Yeah.
nice to be able to say it.
Yes, exactly. This is not the only thing that will be happening as well, Zoe. The studio is also implementing a new bonus scheme, which is offering additional payouts to team members for upcoming releases if they are considered a major hit in the industry, or if they surpass their profit goals, as well as if they surpass goals set by team leads. So they have introduced incentivized working for their employees, which I've talked about this with a lot of my other friends, is a proper way to incentivize that your workers are going to work or they're going to, try to push forward is if you pay them properly and you pay them bonuses. And, because if you give them money, money is necessary. Money is evil, but money is necessary for everything to happen in this world. So if you're going to work in a corporation, if you're going to have people that you're going to if you have expectations and you want goals to be met in a very fast manner, in a very efficient manner, then incentivize them. Incentivize your employees, and that could be all manners of things. But also make sure you take good care of them. This is actually very. I'm usually when we talk about big companies like this, it's bad news. So I'm very excited, very excited. Also, yes, congratulations to the Staten Island Amazon workers at that warehouse for forming the Amazon Labor Union (ALU). Huge fucking news, huge fucking news, and I hope that I can say the same for our local Amazon warehouse down here in Bessemer that have been pushing for union representation for a long, long time. What do you got for us next in video game news, Zoe?
Yeah, let me tell you. Well, first, I just also want to add Starbucks has also been seeing success in establishing labor unions as well. Um, just to add that on there, it's very, very nice to see these big companies that have been doing their best to crush the labor union movement and have mostly been successful so far.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, get an L and all of that. Cool. The next bit of news I have for you is some sad news, actually. Scott Benny, a writer on uh, writer at Interplay in the 1990s. He served as producer and designer on both volumes of its adaptation of The Lord of the Rings, as well as the strategy sims Castles and Castles. He also wrote on Star Trek games, Starfleet Academy, Judgment Rights, Star Trek 25th Anniversary. He
Mm-hmm.
also wrote on the original Fallout. Scott Benny, unfortunately, passed away recently.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Benny is the man who gave Dogmeat his name in the original Fallout,
Yep.
which he has said in an interview in 2017. He said, I didn't have that much to do with Fallout, a few maps, some bits of the hub, and some system messages, and the mysterious stranger perk, and I named Dogmeat. If anything endures of my writing career, it'll be the name of that dog, which probably, honestly, isn't that far off from the truth. The framing the framing around that statement when he gave it feels a lot more humble, which is good for
Yes.
him. I think it's a pretty big deal. Fallout,
It's
is a very
huge.
big, successful series, and everyone loves Dogmeat. And I am always of the opinion that the names of people like him should be more well known. Saying that as someone who did not know who Scott Benny was until this article hit. Um, and it's, a shame that you learn about people like this once they've passed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also glad to have learned more about him.
Me as well. Me as well. Dog meat forever will live on in my heart and my mind and my memory. So big, 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 big shout out to him.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Scott Benny. Uh, Wild interplay. Like interplay. I don't know if you remember playing a lot of interplay games. They had a lot of like the choose your own adventure style games and like full motion video
Oh
games.
yeah.
There's two that stick out in my mind. It was a 2-pack that you could buy at Walmart. It was the Curse of the Mummy and Frankenstein, and they were both FMV games. The Curse of the Mummy game had Malcolm McDowell playing the lead foreman on an archaeological dig into the tomb of a mummy, who I think was the bad guy in that game. And then you had Mr. Space himself, Tim Curry, was Dr. Victor Frankenstein, and it's called Frankenstein Through the Eyes of the Monster was that game, and it was great. And he chewed the scenery. He was fantastic, fantastic in that game. So. And I'm pretty sure go out and play some. Go to GOG.com and get some old Interplay games and play them for Scott Binney, or go play some Fallout and go pet dog meat a little bit.
Go get dog meat, put dog meat in your sanctuary so he never gets hurt, and just go out into the wasteland and bring dog meat treats in honor of Scott Binney.
Exactly. Got some news for Bioshock Infinite fans. Bioshock Infinite has mysteriously been getting updates 9 years after its release. Fans have been speculating that maybe it might have to do with something with updates or getting something happening, because as you know, 2K is in the development of the 4th Bioshock game. We have no new updates on that whatsoever, but recently on Steam and through other different game launch sites, we have seen that 2K has been providing 13 total updates to Bioshock Infinite, one of them being the inclusion of a 2K developer launch branch, which it seems that 2K is developing their own launch platform, much like how EA has and Ubisoft has, which is just, in my opinion, awful. I hate them. I hate that I have to download a new launcher to play a game. That's why I typically don't play those games. If they're not available on Steam or on Epic, or Xbox, then I typically do not play them. That's just the bottom line, because Stone Cold Wes Frank says so. But there's been a lot of speculation around it, saying that it might have something to do with updating the graphics for this game to be prepared for the launch of the Steam Deck. As you know, the Steam Deck is going to be the portable, hands-on Steam player. I have mine pre-ordered. And I am very excited to play it. As somebody who barely touched their Nintendo Switch, I am excited to see if I actually play the Steam Deck. Though I feel if I get to play the games that are on Steam on my handheld console, on a handheld console, on my couch, covered in a blanket, I will definitely be doing that instead of sitting in my chair at my desk, very uncomfortably playing games. What do you think about this Bioshock Infinite news, Zoe?
I'm excited. I really like Bioshock. I say that. I've only actually played Bioshock Infinite, which isn't due to any issues with the other Bioshock games. It was a series that missed me as it was coming out until Bioshock Infinite, which came out on... I played it because it came on the, what does Xbox call it? Xbox Live Gold, where they give you 2 free games a month. And Bioshock Infinite came out in like 2017 on that. Before that. 2015 maybe? It doesn't matter. Yeah. The point is, I played it when it came out. I fell in love with it. Bioshock Infinite's a great game. Bioshock Infinite's also a super weird game. So there is a part of me that... what does the article say? Am I still going to hold out hope that 2K is pulling a fast one on us and updating the game with some really cool stuff? Also, yes. With Bioshock 4 on the way, it would be really cool, even if it would be weird to like throw some stuff into Bioshock Infinite hinting towards that. Because of the nature of the game with the alternate realities. Oh, spoiler alerts for Bioshock Infinite, I guess, a game that came out a very long time ago at this point. It would be interesting. I also 1,000,000% agree about different launchers that aren't Steam. Even when you buy a game on Steam, sometimes there are publishers that make you download another launcher to like actually play the game, which I found out when I got...
Bethesda did that for a little bit, and then they shut theirs down. They shut theirs down.
Rockstar Games did it too, at least with... I purchased L.A. Noire recently on Steam because I wanted to get back into that, and it made me go through a whole fucking thing. So yes. I don't know. I'm with you that another company getting into their own launchers just feels exhausting and unnecessary, and what are the actual chances that it's going to last? I don't know, but hopefully, if they do go through with it, more it is a smoother transition than other ones have been in the past. We'll see.
Yes.
We'll see.
We shall see. Indeed. Interesting to see what comes out of that. I really enjoy the Bioshock games from a game design perspective, as well as an aesthetic and an atmosphere perspective. It's also very interesting to talk about the politics of the Bioshock universe and see what people actually agree with the politics and who don't agree with the politics. Because quite often in Bioshock, they frame people rising up against a state as bad or evil, and so it's very interesting to see how people interpret that stuff. That's just where I come from as a fan, and I can say that. I can say that the politics of Bioshock are bad. I have the game tattooed on my wrists. This is from the character from the first game here, so I can say that. I can do that. But no, I'm very, very, very interested to see what comes of that. Also, stop doing so many goddamn launchers. I fucking swear, please. Somebody help me. So there we go. Do you have any more video game news for us, Zoe?
I have some more video game news. I have another piece of unfortunate news, not as unfortunate as the last piece, but something that will come as a disappointment to a lot of people. I am sure the Legend of Zelda series producer Eiji Onuma announced on Twitter that Breath of the Wild 2 has been delayed to spring 2023, pushing it back from the previously planned 2022 release. I really like Breath of the Wild. I think we've talked about this before, Wes, and I think you are not a Breath of the Wild fan, right?
I am not a Breath of the Wild stan. I understand and recognize its importance to gaming, and I recognize that a lot of things have changed because of its introduction into the greater audience of the video game community. But I personally do not enjoy Breath of the Wild because either A, I just have different preferences, or as I hear most of the time when I say that to people, I have stinky poo-poo opinions that do not matter. So it's either one or the other. There is no in between.
Well, I highly disagree with that. Jesus. I'm a big fan of Breath of the Wild, although I get why people don't like it, and I get it is definitely not. It is not really a Zelda game in the way that we think of Zelda games a lot. Like even other Zelda games that have like pushed that formula, like Wind Waker, are still recognizable as that kind of game, while Breath of the Wild is not that. So I get it. That said, I'm very excited for Breath of the Wild 2. I'm excited to see what they're doing with it. It is disappointing to me that the game has been delayed, especially because there wasn't really a reason given other than the typical we want to make the game as good as possible. There are rumors circulating on Twitter, so it's Twitter. Take that as you will.
It's Twitter.
But there are rumors that the release of Elden Ring is somehow connected to this delay. Rumors that in a similar way of how Elden Ring took ideas from Breath of the Wild, that Breath of the Wild 2 is now going to take ideas from Elden Ring. I don't know. This is just what people are saying, and I am just telling you about it. I personally have zero idea, because I don't know what goes into these decisions. But hopefully it's being delayed because it's going to be a good game, and not delayed because there's a bunch of stuff that's bad with it and they need to fix it.
Do you know what I think? Do you want to know what I think, Zoe?
Always.
I think it's being delayed because they want Elden Ring fatigue to set in. They don't want to have to compete with Elden Ring because Elden Ring is a massive game and they're doing updates to it.
Yeah.
They recently just did a patch that added new NPC characters into the game and new missions and things of that nature for free. So I think they're probably going to be pushing it back to 2023, just so that they can get away from Elden Ring hype for a little bit.
When you say patch that adds in new NPCs, is that the same patch that added in NPCs that were supposed to be in the game but accidentally weren't?
Exactly. That's exactly
Okay,
what
I
I
want to
mean.
make sure we're talking about
Yeah.
the same
Yeah,
patch.
I'm not talking about brand new content. I'm talking about content that should have been there but was not there.
Uh-huh,
And they
uh-huh.
patched it in later. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Never expect anything is going to be given to you for free unless it's for an apology like CD Projekt Red did with Witcher 3. So yeah.
No.
People like to forget that Witcher 3 was a piece of shit when it came out.
I did not play it when it came out, so thankfully that passed me by. I only played
You
it once it was
had
good.
you
Do you
lucky
have
ducky.
any other video game news, Wes?
I had something else about a new game coming out, and then I am done with all my video game news here. Hyperlight Drifter, the sequel, Hyperlight Drifter, a gorgeous 3D roguelike, is having its own wonderfully beautiful aesthetic sequel coming out later, coming soon into the spring of 2023. It's going to be hitting Steam Early Access. It's called Hyper Light Breaker. So instead of the more 2D style that Hyper Light Drifter had, Hyper Light Breaker is going to be fully 3D, replacing pixels with polygons. It's going to there's going to have a hub-like settlement, and there's going to be co-op involved with the game. It's trying to be as fast and as fluid as recent release Solar Ash, but it is going to be focusing on an RPG style build crafting, where there's a wide arsenal of weapons and items for you to use. The player character also has a hoverboard and a glider at their disposal to help traversal, and you also have a wall dash. So there's going to be promising, vast environments that have speed and grace built into the very heart of them. It promises online cooperative play in addition to single player, just in case you're like me and you don't have a lot of friends that want to play the games that you play. Um, so yeah, go ahead and stay tuned for Hyper Light Breaker. Did you ever play Hyper Light Drifter, Zoe?
No, I've never even heard of this game before Hyperlight Breaker was announced. I'm looking at it right now, and it seems really, really sick. I see that they're hooking up with the makers of Borderlands
Yep.
To bring it into that kind of style, I'm guessing. I don't know what Hyperlight Drifter looks like, but I'm looking at the art for Hyperlight Breaker, and it does look very Borderlands. That cool boxy's not the right word.
Cell shaded.
Yeah, cell shaded. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That very cool
Yeah.
cell shaded style, which seems really, really sick. It also says it's going to have a Legend of Zelda like overworld, a Zelda inspired overworld filled with monster secrets and minimal explanation. The article that I've pulled up is comparing it. Or it says, from the sounds of it, they're comparing it to Tunic, which, as you know from last week, I'm a big, big fan of, and I've almost beaten. Actually, I'm on the final boss right now. But
Ooh.
I like games where you slowly uncover what's happening piece by piece throughout. And when I say that, I don't mean like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, where you have to like really pull out the red string and corkboard to figure it out. Um, something that's still it's still a discovery through exploration, but once you start putting the pieces together, you actually start to make sense of things a little bit.
Yep.
So I'm into it. I'm excited to see what that brings. I will definitely pick that up when it comes out on early access. When is that? Spring? Also spring 2023?
Spring
There you go.
2023.
That and Breath of the Wild too.
Spring 2023 proving to be a very, very bloated in terms of release of games, just like this spring has been. Oh god, there's been so
Maybe
many games released.
maybe they'll push Breath of the Wild 2 back again once this comes out,
Please.
because I think the pushback was announced before Hyperlight Drifter, not Drifter, Hyperlight Breaker was announced.
Hyperlight Break.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We'll see.
Amazing, amazing.
Uh,
Any other video
yeah,
game news you
I
have?
have I have one more piece of news. In rumors, video games, really big PlayStation acquisition could be in the works. PlayStation has acquired several studios in the past year. 2021 saw the acquisition of Housemarque, Bluepoint Games, Firesprite, Nixus Software, and Valkyrie Entertainment. This year, they also acquired Bungie, and now a new rumor suggests that Sony has another massive acquisition to announce. The biggest speculation is that Sony is going to acquire From Software, which is actually how I first found this story. In the way that the internet works, what I first saw were headlines popping up that said Sony acquires From Software, and I'm like, it's weird that no one else is talking about this. And then I did a little bit more digging, and of course it is a rumor. The Sony announcing that they've acquired another company has not actually happened yet. That is the rumor. And then there's further speculation about what the company might be. As I said, From Software is the biggest contender right now in the rumor mill. This information comes from GamesBeat's Jeff Grubb and Kinda Funny's Greg Miller. In a video uploaded on the Kinda Funny Games YouTube channel, Grubb and Miller confirmed that they have heard about a new really big Sony acquisition from multiple sources. They do not share any further details, as they don't seem 100% confident about it going through. So it sounds like the acquisition is in the works, but whatever's happening hasn't actually been committed to yet, and it may not be committed to at all, but that is something to keep an eye out as Sony continues to acquire all of these different studios.
How do you feel about From Software potentially being acquired by Sony? How does that feel?
Let me tell you, it really doesn't matter the company. Monopolies fucking suck.
They do suck.
Monopolies are terrible.
They do suck.
Sony is hardly I would not equate Sony with something like Disney, because Sony is a very big company. Disney even still feels like it's on a much more massive scale.
Disney feels like a small country.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? Hey, we'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah,
we'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah.
But it feels very similar to Disney, like, acquiring Star Wars and the Muppets and Marvel and Fox, etc., etc., etc. It's just once all of these companies get acquired and put under the same umbrella of the same company, it all starts to feel very samey. Which is wild, because the thing you frequently hear is that capitalism breeds creativity, etc., etc. It's a little more complicated than that, but of course capitalism is what makes stuff like this occur and makes everything actually destroys any aspect of different choices. It's all
You're spiraling. You're spiraling. Look, you're doom spiraling.
I am doom spiraling a little bit. It's hard not. You know what? When you start talking about capitalism, it's hard not to doom spiral. The point is, monopolies are bad. Big companies are bad. Big companies acquiring a bunch of studios is never really a good thing. That's how I feel about it.
Completely agree. I think that we are starting to see a lot of not cool stuff going down with major companies acquiring all these different things. Mm-hmm. I cannot wait to go to dinner, go on a date with a person to a Disney-owned restaurant in my Disney-owned car, and then go back home to my Disney-owned house or my Disney-owned apartment and use Disney brand condoms to have Disney brand sex with my Disney brand partner. That's gonna be fantastic future. Perfect. All right, are we ready to move on from?
Let's move on.
Video game news. All right, adrenaline in my soul. Cody Rhodes debuted for WWE. It is WrestleMania weekend, as you can tell right there. Let me go ahead and grab it. Here. I've got it. Let's go. Okay. Got the Universal Championship right here on my arm. I don't know, Roman Reigns, who it's much smaller when you look at it when it's on here, because you can tell I did not get a replica belt. There we go. Let me go ahead and get that. Break that over my shoulder right there. Cody Rhodes debuted for WWE last night on night one of WrestleMania. He has signed a multi-year deal with WWE and will executive produce an A&E biography on Dusty Rhodes. There has been build for Seth Rollins to have a mystery opponent at WrestleMania. A lot of people speculated, and speculated correctly, that it would be Cody Rhodes, former AEW executive vice president, who left the company when not being able to come to a decision by money and creative control over himself with the owner Tony Khan. And so that saw him leaving the company, and he has gone back to WWE, a company that he has spent over 9 years talking so much shit about. I am very, very, very happy for him. I'm very happy for people making deals and going to places where they want to be and be able to work in different places where they want to work. It just feels weird. It feels very weird. It feels very weird to have somebody that spent over, a significant point of their life, like 6 years, talking so much shit about a company, and thus that company is now, where they live and work and make a lot of money. Nothing has been changed about his character, about his theme music. He is going to be speaking on Monday Night Raw this Monday night after WrestleMania, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Moving on to major news. Last night at WrestleMania Night 1, the very first match of the night, which was the Mysterios, Rey Mysterio Jr. and his son Dominic versus The Miz and Logan Paul. That's right, I said Logan Paul, featured a very special person in the ring alongside them. That is Miss Daphne LaShawn, formerly known as the wrestler Asia Smith. Daphne LaShawn has become the first black woman to officiate a match, which means to referee a match WrestleMania. So that is a huge, huge, huge leap forward, huge step forward. And I will tell you, after watching WrestleMania last night, she did a fantastic job. She did a great job, and I was actually kind of impressed with WrestleMania last night. A lot of people came and they delivered. Ronda Rousey was on my screen, but she lost, and that made me feel good because I do not like Ronda Rousey at all. Ronda Rousey likes to train on beaches when she's getting ready for fights. If you want to see about how well she punches on a beach, you should Google Ronda Rousey Sandy Hook to learn more about why I do not like Ronda Rousey. Moving on to more wrestling news, because there is tons of it. Samoa, let's stay in WrestleMania 38. WrestleMania 38 Night 1 was one for the books, but there was one match that had been built for a long time that was absent from the card. New Day members Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, New Day, shout out to New Day, were scheduled to face Sheamus and Ridge Holland with their manager Butch, awful name for a wrestler, in tag team action, but the match was cut due to time, which a lot of people have been giving quite a bit of their grievances with, including Kofi Kingston and Sheamus have kind of given their disappointment with it, because for a 4-hour event, there was about, I would say, 30 minutes to an hour of video packages. So, you've spent the whole day building up, and this whole time building up. You don't need to do video packages for every match. Just kind of have your matches happen. AEW manages to do it. Indie wrestling shows manage to do it. I think WWE could do it too. And I hated that because I would have really loved to see Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods versus Sheamus. Ridge Holland, not so much, because I don't know too much about Ridge Holland, but I'm always looking to find new people to get into. More on the WWE side before we go over to some other big news. Steve Austin, Stone Cold, returns to the ring, opens a can of whoop ass on Kevin Owens. That's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. In a segment that was just supposed to be a KO show, just an interview between Kevin Owens and Austin, turned into a no-holds-barred, anything-goes match, which hurt my knees, because Stone Cold Steve Austin is 57 years old, and he has had routine surgeries on his neck, his back, and both of his knees, but he did a fantastic job. There was plenty of beer slung around, smashed together, poured on Austin, poured on KO. There was a four-wheeler involved at one point. It was a wild, wild show, and it was great. There were stunners abound. And you know what? That's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. I'm here for it. It was great. It was fantastic. Afterwards, Stone Cold Steve Austin was getting tossed beers to him from the crowd. He was drinking them on top of the turnbuckle. He shared a beer with commentator Byron Saxton, with whom him and Byron at the beginning of the pandemic, when there was no crowds, and they had a very weird moment that was just like, it seemed very like David Lynchian almost, but from a wrestling perspective. But Byron Saxton was able to share a beer, but then get Stone Cold stunnered by Steve Austin as well. And then at the very end, Stone Cold was able to bring his brother on into the ring and share beer with him as well. Very touching, very, very heartfelt. And then my last bit of wrestling news, so we can move on to other things. Samoa Joe is all elite, baby. Samoa Joe, popular TNA, ROH, and WWE wrestler, has kicked open the forbidden door, has made his way over, and during ROH's Supercard of Honor on Friday night pay-per-view, surprise came at the end of the show after Jonathan Gresham defeated Bandito and was able to unify the ROH title, the Ring of Honor titles. Jay Lethal came out to the ring, boo Jay Lethal, to challenge Jonathan Gresham for the ROH World title, but Gresham declined Lethal's proposal because Jay Lethal had cheated to win earlier in the show, that showcased he had no honor, and Jonathan Gresham only wrestles those with honor, causing Lethal and his manager Sanjay Dutt to attack Lethal. There's then music that plays that sounds very familiar, and out comes no one other than Samoa Joe to make the save and then shake hands with Jonathan Gresham. He was released in January 5th of this year. It was his second release from WWE in the space of months, a really weird situation for Samoa Joe, but he announced by commentary as making an appearance on next Wednesday's episode of AEW Dynamite, and his acquisition has been announced on Twitter as well. He also did a post-show speech after Supercard of Honor, addressing his thankfulness for the fans and allowing him to be there at the show. It was very touching, very epic. Great showing. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's all I've got for wrestling news. You got any wrestling news for us, Zoe?
No, I don't keep up with wrestling, but I always look forward to hearing what you have to say. It is a fun peek into a world that I don't know anything about, and everyone around me does.
Yep. Well, tonight I will be watching WrestleMania Night 2. I've got some friends coming over. We're making wings, and we are going to see what is sure to be either a very interesting, at least, but maybe a very disappointing night of wrestling that ends and culminates with this little belt here being challenged by Brock Lesnar against Roman Reigns, a unification match, and I'm sure I'm going to be very disappointed. But yeah, that's all I've got for wrestling news. Let's move on to our next category.
Correct me if I'm wrong. We don't like Brock Lesnar, right?
We do not like Brock Lesnar in this house. Yeah,
okay.
No, we do not like Brock Lesnar in this house.
There are some, even if you don't pay attention, there are some names where you hear it, you have a visceral reaction. I'm like, there's probably a reason for that. I can't remember what it is, but there's probably a reason.
The only Brock I fuck with is Brock from Pokemon.
Hell yeah.
Perfect.
Don't forget all other Brocks.
There you go. Yeah, I'm calling you out, Brocks. All other Brocks out there. It's time for Tabletop RPG News. Zoe, go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah.
And then we got an exclusive. We got a breaking news alert from our friends at Gehenna Gaming. But go ahead and kick us off here.
I can't wait to see what that is. But first, Old Gods of Appalachia TTRPG has been announced. The announcement for the Old Gods of Appalachia TTRPG came from Monty Cook Games' website. Aside from a promotional image of the book, there is no mention of what RPG system it would utilize or how involved the original creators would be. This is very early on in its news cycle, and I can actually show you what the cover looks like right here. It is a very interesting looking cover. Old Gods of Appalachia. Sorry, I keep...
Appalachia.
Appalachia?
Appalachia.
Appalachia. You know what?
Appalachia.
It's definitely one of those things.
That's to go to say, You can tell what kind of person is by the pronunciation of Appalachia. You were born on the mountain and you work on the mountain if you pronounce it Appalachia, and you were probably making money off the people that work on the mountain if you pronounce it Appalachia.
Dang. Well, I can promise you I haven't made any money off of anyone working on mountains. I just don't hear the word a lot. But yeah, this is really cool. I've heard a lot of good things about Old Gods of Appalachia. It is not something it is not media I have consumed yet. It is on my very, very, very long list. I think it's interesting that the only thing that's really been announced is this cover that you can see right now, which looks sick as shit. But there's no game system announced. There's no announcement involving the original creators, as I said. There is still a lot of unknowns surrounding this game.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to see what comes out of it. I'm really hoping that it's not another Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition adaptation of something like what happened with Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hope it is something a little more interesting than that. I know 5th edition is what brings in the money, which we've talked about before. But I don't know. I'm hoping it's something different. I'm hoping it's something more unique than that.
I'm going to tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I very much hope that it is not a 5e open game license. I hope it's something more akin to like maybe Fear itself that uses the gumshoe system, or Shivers, or something of that nature, or something like Cult. I really hope so. Old Gods of Appalachia is fucking amazing podcast. Everybody should go listen to it, and it's not just because I myself am from the region, but it's pardon me. But it's very well produced. The sound design on it is amazing. The writing on it is amazing. The voice acting is amazing. Yuri Lowenthal it has lended his voice talents to it quite a few times. Definitely go listen to it. Monty Cook. I'm calling you out, Monty Cook. I am a micro niche internet celebrity in the TTRPG industry space that is from the region. I live there. I have family that still live there. I've got family that's buried there. Please hit me up if you need anything. If you need somebody to promote the game, or you need somebody involved with the writing or anything like that, hit me up. That would be great. I highly recommend you to listen to the series, though, Zoe. It would be right up your alley.
Yeah, I believe it 100%.
Yeah. I'm now gonna make it my personal mission to bother you until you do.
Do it. Absolutely do it. It's the only way I learn.
Also wanted to show off my
Ooh.
Appalachian Workers Coalition sticker there.
Hell yeah.
There you go. Our hauler fights fascism. You can get that on Etsy right now, or just go to the Appalachian Appalachian Workers Coalition website, and then give you links to that too. Yeah, Old Gods of Appalachia TTRPG. Ever since they announced it immediately, I was all over it, and I cannot wait, and I want it, and I want it now. I need it. I need it now. I desperately need it. You ready for some breaking news?
Yeah, give me that breaking news from
Are you ready
Gaming.
That breaking news from Gehenna Gaming. This just in, Virtual HorrorCon 2022 passes are live on Gehenna Gaming's website. I dropped the link in the chat right there. Get your ticket for Virtual HorrorCon 2022, the world's first digital horror media and tabletop RPG convention. It started at the height of the pandemic during that summer, and I have been involved with it since its inception, and I am very happy to announce that Carrion Comfort Studios is going to be providing some assistance for that this weekend. More details to come. Very, very excited for Virtual HorrorCon 2022. If you get your tickets now, it's $20. It gives you access to panels, to the vendor hall, and exclusive merch for the convention. There will be all those panels, vendor halls, everything like that. Full con experience will be available digitally. It's been exactly 3 years this week. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. But yeah, no, it's a great time. I'm very excited for it. Very, very stoked for it. And also, there will be actual plays that will be occurring during that week too. So keep your eyes peeled to Gehenna Gaming's Twitter, as well as our Twitter for more announcements for that. I am very, very stoked, very, very excited. How you feeling about this bit of news here, Zoe?
I am super excited for it. Virtual HorrorCon was one of the. It wasn't the first convention I started doing, but it was one of the first
Mm-hmm.
ones. Once I started getting into the TTRPG space that I find myself in now, after the pandemic had started, Virtual HorrorCon, the games I played in that first one that I did, and the people I met, I feel like I really solidified. I really figured out what I like from the TTRPG space. I figured a lot of things out that I wanted. I figured a lot of what I wanted to get out of it. A
Yep.
lot of what spoke to me. Virtual HorrorCon holds a very special place in my heart for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because again, it was one of those first defining experiences of attending a con, but digitally attending, but still attending. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to participate.
Fantastic, fantastic. Be sure to follow them on their website as well as Twitter for more news about that. And also check out their fantastic podcasts, the Gehenna Gaming Podcast, Gehenna Academy, and Monster Hearts Actual Play Podcast, as well as the Deep Dive. They also have different actual plays like Vampire the Masquerade Vikings, Chronicles of Darkness, the Contagion Chronicles that was run masterfully, as well as a Halloween Night Call of Cthulhu Trapped in the Magnus Institute, a Magnus Archives game. So go ahead and check those out as well. Go ahead and hit us with your next bit of news there, Zoe.
Yeah, I have some news coming straight out of Paizo. Paizo has announced plans to release one of its most popular Pathfinder adventure paths as a Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition book. A 5e version of the Abomination Vaults, a mega dungeon crawler, will be released in November 2022, alongside a version made for Pathfinder 2nd edition. This marks the second time that Paizo has announced a conversion of one of its popular Pathfinder adventures for D&D 5th edition. The publisher previously announced plans to convert the Pathfinder 1st edition adventure Kingmaker to 5th edition as part of a Kickstarter campaign last year. This is very interesting to me for a number of reasons. The first of which is that Paizo and Wizards of the Coast are competitors.
Yes.
I found a little bit more about this. Jason Bowman, the director of game design for Paizo, Jason Bowman,
Mm-hmm.
stated after certain comments were made about this announcement on his Twitter, Pathfinder is not in trouble. Doing a 5th edition version of Abomination Vaults is a chance for 5th edition folks to check out our world and stories. Pathfinder 2nd edition is doing great, and we're excited to put out more material for it in the coming years. You just wait, we have so much in store. So there was some speculation that this was being done because Paizo and Pathfinder by association was in some trouble, but that has been denied. It is being sold as a way to get people who are, deep into 5th edition, which, as we've talked about,
Mm-hmm.
is most people who play tabletop games do so through D&D,
Yes.
and it seems like they believe this will be a good way to get people who are more firmly in that system to explore at least the world of Pathfinder and maybe be a branching point to get them to try out Pathfinder eventually. Which, to be honest, I like. We've talked about this before. I'm not going to get into it
Mm-hmm.
again. I think Pathfinder's a better game than 5th edition, and I really like 2nd edition. I like the things it does with the D20 system better. It's still not my favorite because I don't. I those kinds of TTRPGs are not what I like out of tabletop games. But I
Yes.
do enjoy them given the right
Mm-hmm.
conditions. Like I will play 5th edition if it's with the right people.
Yes.
And same with Pathfinder. It's something I'll play if it's with the right people. And I think
Yeah.
getting someone to or getting people who are really entrenched in one game, giving them that branch to try out another game, even if it's very similar in ways, could lead to a domino effect of them being bold enough to explore even more games past that. And that is my opinion on
I
it.
I agree. I think it's ultimately a smart move on Paizo's part. I think it's along the way of like I appreciate when there are companies that handle they have their own like game system, but they also do a 5e open game license version of it to try to bridge the gap between the two. Call of Cthulhu did the same thing with people to try to convince people to play, OG Call of Cthulhu. They made a 5e, a D20 version of it. Um, it's happened with Star Wars, with and multiple other systems. I think it's a smart move, and Paizo is not in trouble. Paizo has been doing very well, especially after the approval, like the formal recognition of the Paizo Workers Union, or Writers Union. That's it's one of the first major tabletop RPG industry unions that comes out there, and Paizo formally recognizes it, and they've been working together to make things better at the company. I think they're going to be doing just right. And this is not just me saying, shout out Paizo, because due to Rob and Paizo sent me the second edition books that are on my shelf over here for me to check out when I kind of gave my dissatisfaction with Wizards and all that they've done, all the myriad of awful things that company has done. So yeah, but I'm very excited to see. And I hope this does very well for Paizo, and I hope it brings more people in to play the game, because I have noticed that I've been reading through Pathfinder, and I kind of like it a little bit more. It's crunchier than 5e. But there's a lot more customization on the player's parts, and there's a lot more dungeon master or game master support than I would say D&D. D&D 5, especially 5th edition, has a lot of player support in their books and their supplement books, and barely any support for game masters and dungeon masters. Me and Jason Cordova talked about that exact same thing this past Friday over on our interview. You can watch the VOD now, a conversation with Jason Cordova. It's going to be on YouTube this Monday, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube as well if you want to check that out. Not on Twitch VOD. But yeah, it's they're Paizo and Pathfinder, and I hope, because they did have a connection with Kobold Press in the past, and I kind of hope they kind of renew that, because I really think that Kobold Press, out of all of these companies that make like D20 style books, anything like that, Kobold Press does the best with their kind of artwork and the quality of the products and the quality of the writing within the game, and like how much support it has for players and GMs. So I would like to see a little bit of a marriage between those two, or a coordination between all three. Let's coordinate. Let's not try to buy each other out. Let's coordinate.
Yeah.
It is a small, tiny space that we work in. And if we stop talking about competition and start working with each other, then there's a lot of great things that we can create. But yeah, that's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
Any other updates on it as well?
Not that I see. That is all the information I have so far about this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
My last little bit of TTRPG news. Presenting to you by at Sotherans on Twitter, by the one Oliver Darkshire. Oliver Darkshire, you might recall, a couple weeks ago created a one-page RPG entitled Trapped in a Cabin with Lord Byron, where you are on a vacation with Lord Byron in his holiday home, but the weather has trapped you and your friends inside the house, and only the strong will survive. Has released this week Battle of the Brontes. You're one of several sisters in a family blessed with talented writers. Secretly, you know you're the most gifted, and you have to prove it by any means necessary. One-page RPG right now that I'm going to link in the chat. If you love old literature, things of that nature, things that came out in the 1700s, then and you love one-page RPGs like Honey Heist, then I'm sure that you would love checking out Battle of the Brontes, as well as Trapped in a Cabin with Lord Byron. This is truly major news. Groundbreaking news. I think it might even be bigger than Old Gods of Appalachia.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I have it pulled up on the stream right now for people to see, but they should
Amazing.
also click the link so they can have it forever. I love one-page RPGs. They're so much fun. I think there's so much you can get out of them compared to like traditional TTRPGs that you
Agreed.
wouldn't expect from the simplicity of them.
Agreed.
But I especially love that you can just fucking go with it. Like if you're having one of the things, going back to Honey Heist, because that is the most prolific one, and that is the one that people know, if you are having, like, an off day, or someone in your gaming group is having an off day, and you don't feel like going really heavy into, like, the big campaign you're doing, just taking a break with a one-page RPG, so, like, you're still getting together, you're still having that socializing, but there's no pressure to be or do anything big or crucial. You can just fuck around with a one-page RPG, and Battle of the Brontes seems like a really good one that I'm going to save and have on hand for next time to change it up from Honey Heist. If I can get my group to make that change, because sometimes it can be tricky. But yeah, I'm super into it.
I'm fully expecting one of my good friends, Rachel, last name redacted, at Miss Petty Dreadful, one of the Thonic kids here, who is a massive fan of the Brontes and Lord Byron, as well as Shelley. Like, I imagine she's going to try to drag us into doing that as well. So I cannot wait to give that a hand, give that a try. We will see. We will see.
Yeah.
We will see. Excellent. Any more TTRPG news?
Yeah, I have
Zoe?
one more piece of news for the people. Uh, CMON has announced plans to launch a new Kickstarter to fund production of an English version of the award-winning RPG Household. The Italian tabletop role-playing game was originally released in 2019 by 2LM Press and puts players in the role of littlings, small creatures like fairies and boggarts that originated in European folklore. Littlings will explore a massive abandoned mansion where they'll meet strange characters, deal with court intrigue, and battle against spiders. This marks the first time that Household will be translated into English. The game won RPG of the Year 2019 at Luca Comics and Games 2019. CMON Games purchased 2LM Press last year with the aim of expanding their tabletop RPG offerings. 2LM also published the adventure game Broken Compass and helped develop Zombicide Chronicles, an RPG set in the world of CMON's popular Zombicide board game series. The studio is headed by Francesco Nepatello, one of the two main designers of The One Ring, the popular tabletop role-playing game set in Middle Earth. And I hope I pronounced that last name right.
It sounded correct.
Nepatello. Yeah.
Nepatello.
Francesco Nepatello. Yeah, so that is some very exciting news if Household is an RPG that has been in your periphery, but obviously hasn't been playable because it was released in Italian, unless you speak Italian. I'm excited about the English translation because Household seems like a really sick game. I'm not super into fighting spiders, to be honest, because I got a thing about spiders, but also sometimes it can be cathartic to murder a spider as well. So I'm really interested to see what comes out of that. It sounds like a really charming game.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. I can't wait to try it out. I love Secret World of Arietti. I love the Burrowers, and that sounds very, very cool to check out, and I cannot wait. Speaking of cannot wait, I cannot wait to disappoint certain people. I have to say it and confirm it here on CCN for TTRPG News. On April 1st, 2022, Carrion Comfort Studios made an announcement on Twitter that this summer there would be a new series hitting our Twitch that was going to be Euphoria, a Monster Hearts 2 actual play. I can confirm with you now, I had a bunch of people messaging me asking me why we were doing this. I had people asking if I had communicated this with the rest of the team. I had a team member that said, this just seems very kind of wild and out of the blue. Does anybody else know about this? Why didn't you communicate this with the team? Are we actually doing it this summer, or are you just trying to tease more stuff? And I have to tell you right now, it was an April Fool's joke. It was an April Fool's joke. So thank you. We are not doing a Euphoria Monster Hearts 2 actual play game. I apologize if anybody's disappointed by that. So there. I am late. What has I missed? Critical K. Well, Critical K, you missed quite a bit. So if you want to go back, you and everybody else at home can check out the VOD of today's episode. It will also be uploaded on YouTube later tonight. So go ahead if you want to check it out. If you missed it, go ahead and check it out there. But yeah, there is no Euphoria Monster Hearts 2 actual play series. Darn. Yeah.
The Phasing Octopus, you can get drugged out teen monsters by playing regular Monster Hearts. I promise it doesn't need a Euphoria skin on it. Yes, you did miss Old Gods. Appalachia? Sorry, Wes. Please don't.
Got it. It's okay. It's okay.
Fight me.
Hey, you know what? But you know what? I'm not going to correct you on it. I just had to let you know the distinguishing.
Yeah.
Pronunciation.
No, I got it. I got it in my head now. You did miss us talking about it, but you didn't miss anything because all that's been announced has been the cover.
The book cover, which looks sick.
It does look really sick. I can just honestly... all my tabs are messed up. I'm not gonna lie. I'll send it to you. I'll send you the cover. Okay. Remind me. I'll DM you. Don't worry about it. Are we ready to move on to Movie Minute?
I think I'm ready to move on to Movie Minute. Let's go ahead. Let's move it and shake it.
Cool. Let me get my tabs sorted as I messed everything up trying to find that cover again. I can go ahead
and start. You got it?
I got it.
Okay, you got it. All right.
Let's start with a news story that is a consequence of the biggest story that has been permeating the film news space. We won't get into too much about it because God knows the internet has already about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock on the stage of the Oscars. You don't need us to tell you about it. I'm sure you're sick of hearing it. Or hearing about it. But the news that I have to share with you is, as a result of that, Netflix has slowed development on its upcoming action thriller Fast and Loose, which Will Smith has been attached to star in. The project has been moved to the streamer's back burner in the days following the 2022 Oscar ceremony, during which Smith walked on stage and slapped Chris Rock after the comedian made a joke about the appearance of Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. And the week before the Oscar ceremony, director David Leitch reportedly also pulled away from the project, electing to move to the Ryan Gosling vehicle Fall Guy for Universal. After beginning to search for a new director, Netflix has now simply halted Fast and Loose in the days following the Oscars. So, it sounds like this movie was already having some trouble before all of this happened. And this seems to have just exasperated the issues.
Yes. It also managed to provide Netflix a proper excuse. I wouldn't say a proper excuse. It provided them an excuse to halt on it, which I think is just... I've got personal thoughts and feelings about that. I don't know if we want to go into it. I don't want to rant or anything.
I think we can hold off from the ranting.
We had plenty of rants last week. Yeah.
You know, it's a thing that happened that a lot of people have really strong opinions on, including myself. I've already gotten into it with people, and it sucks because at the end of the day, it is a thing that happened between two people who will never know we exist.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it has a whole bunch of history behind it between those two people, and that complicates the thing entirely. It's a whole mess.
The one thing I will say, Kay, and I can give you my personal thoughts and feelings in detail at a later date. I don't think that a personal matter that happened between two people that they have since seemed to move on from it should have affected the professional lives of either one of them. One of them is making a lot of money off of this, and the other one is being punished for doing something that I think that he was within his realm and, possibility of doing. I think a lot of people need to get used to seeing grown men smack the shit out of each other. I think we should get used to people getting the shit smacked out of them, just in general. And that's what I'm going to say about it.
Yeah.
I just think I've worked security at bars before, And sometimes people just need to get the shit smacked out of them. Sometimes it just needs to fucking happen.
People
It's
like
not setting a precedent for comedians or anything like that. Nobody's gonna attack a comedian because you made a bad joke.
yeah.
Just keep my wife's motherfucking name out of your mouth.
Although there are certain comedians I would like to see that happen to that I will not name publicly here. But
Yeah,
you could probably
indeed.
guess who it is. I'll also add that people like to say violence is never the answer. Those people should read literally any event in history.
Agreed.
Literally
Agreed.
any amount of change that has happened. That's all I'll add onto that.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Moving on to some positive news here. Comedian Gerard Carmichael, who is hosting Saturday Night Live on April 2nd, has officially come out as queer in his new HBO special, Rothaniel, which premiered this past Friday night. It was taped in February at the Blue Note Jazz Club in New York City, and he has woven stories of his family history with his own coming out process. After telling a story about realizing his father had been cheating on his mother for years, Carmichael takes a beat, looks out to his audience, and says, "After that was out in the open, I was left alone feeling like a liar because I had a secret." He says, "One that I kept from my father, my mother, my family, my friends, and from you, the audience. Professionally, personally, and the secret is that I am gay." And after a long silence, the audience begins giving rapturous applause, to which he had visceral relief on stage and saying that he is accepting the love and he appreciates the love. His ego wants to rebel against it. He rebelled against it his whole life. He thought he would never come out. At many points, he thought he would rather die than confess that. But to actually say it to people, he knows it changes some people's perceptions of him, but he can't control that, and he's accepted that as well. I am very happy for him. That is a very huge thing. He is a very talented comedian. Had his own show on NPC called the Gerard Carmichael Show. That was very good. You should go check it out, and you should also check out the HBO special, Nathaniel. It is beautiful. I watched it yesterday morning, and it brought me to tears. Something that I was not expecting to do. But yeah, any thoughts or feelings on Gerard Carmichael coming out, Zoe?
I don't know Carmichael very well. Gerard Carmichael very well. But
Gerard
as always with anything like this, I am obviously very happy for him. It is a very hard thing to do to come out even in 2022.
Yep.
Honestly, I would go so far as to argue, based on some of the laws that are being passed, maybe a little harder in 2022 than recent years. But that's a
Yeah.
different conversation. Yeah, I'm happy for him. Did you watch? Apparently, he hosted Saturday Night Live last night. Did you watch any of that?
I did not. That is going to be on my radar to see if that will. It's. I am very hesitant with Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
There are parts that I like about Saturday Night Live, like the brooding well, the boy brooding well
yeah.
skit is really good, and there's some hosts that are really good, like Willem Dafoe did a really good job. When Donald Glover hosted Saturday Night Live, and then the musical guest was Childish Gambino, and they played it like it was two separate people. I really appreciated that. But there's a lot of stuff recently that I think SNL has become neoliberal, Democrat drivel. And as a leftist, it's just like a lot of like, well, you tried.
Yeah.
This is just cringy now.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see if there is a Will Smith Chris Rock joke tomorrow on last night's episode.
I mean, I can tell you that there was, because I saw it pop up in my news feed, that it was just SNL's take on the Chris Rock Will Smith slap. I did not click on it because I didn't I
Exhausted.
wasn't ready for it yet. I'll probably go
Yeah.
back and look at it at some point, but I agree with you pretty much about Saturday Night Live, where actually sitting down to watch a whole thing is terrible, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone. It does occasionally have something golden, either something golden that's really, really good, or something that's so terrible that you have to watch it and you can't look away, like when Elon Musk was on there and they did that whole Wario thing.
Indeed.
Fucking, like, that was
Indeed.
terrible, but it is burned into my mind.
Indeed.
Also, thanks, Twin Dad Twitches, for subscribing for 16 months. That's a very
Thank you
long
so
time.
much. That is a very long time. That is longer than most of my relationships because I have trust issues.
Cool. Well, I have some more news for us. Some more movie minute news. Bruce Willis is retiring from
Bruce
acting.
Willis.
Bruce Willis's family has announced the actor is retiring from the profession after being diagnosed with aphasia, a language disorder caused by brain damage that affects a person's ability to communicate. Willis's family put out a joint statement that says, "To Bruce's amazing supporters, as a family, we wanted to share that our beloved Bruce has been experiencing some health issues and has recently been diagnosed with aphasia, which is impacting his cognitive abilities. As a result of this, and with much consideration, Bruce is stepping away from the career that has meant so much to him. This is a really challenging time for our family, and we are so appreciative of your continued love, compassion, and support. We are moving through this as a strong family unit and wanted to bring his fans in because we know how much he means to you as you do to him. As Bruce always says, live it up, and together we plan to do just that." In addition to this, or rather as a consequence of this announcement, the Razzies, who had given a Razzie to Bruce Willis for his performance in Cosmic Sin. He was given worst performance by Bruce Willis. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me clarify. The Razzies created a special award category for Bruce Willis called Worst Performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 Movie, because he appeared in 8 films last year. However, it has recently come out that he appeared in 8 films in 2021 because he was planning on retiring from acting. So the Razzies took a step back and I don't know, rescinded the award?
Yeah, they rescinded the award.
Rescinded feels like a weird way to put it for a Razzie, but basically that is
graciously removed it from purview might be closer for Razzies.
Yeah. To clarify, we heard about Willis's diagnosis at the same time everyone else did, just this morning. The group's tweet apologizing for Mr. Willis's condition brought backlash from other Twitter users. Well, you know what? Fuck the other Twitter users. I think they did the right thing.
Agreed. Fucking big ups to Bruce Willis. I do not agree with his politics, but I am a big fan of a lot of his movies, Armageddon included. He's not the only celebrity that has dealt with aphasia, and I've had a couple of members of my family that have had to deal with aphasia. It is not too hard of a thing to beat, to get ahead of. It typically comes with strokes and aneurysms and brain injury, but it's something that is treatable. It is managed well with. It is damage in a specific area of the brain that controls language expression and comprehension. Other people that have had it are Game of Thrones' Emilia Clarke, Sharon Stone, country music artist Randy Travis, country music artist Glenn Campbell, and even Dick Clark from Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve have all dealt with aphasia. It's something that you can get ahead of, but it is very, very, very tough to manage and to deal with. But it is manageable, and it is dealable. So, fingers crossed. I'm glad the Razzies have stopped picking on Bruce Willis. Find somebody else to pick on now.
There are literally so many people they could pick on besides Bruce Willis. I'm sure they won't have an issue finding someone new.
Just somebody new that's not Bruce Willis.
Hey Wes, what other movie news do you have for us?
Oh hey, I got some Attack on Titan news. Attack on Titan fans, the final season part 3 has been announced for 2023. I made that exasperated look because it's wild that they're like, this is the final season, but we're going to do 3 different parts to it. So I'm like, oh, so you have 3 different seasons. You have 3 seasons left. And they're like, no, it's the final season. It's just 3 different parts to it. And I'm like...
So I don't keep up with Attack on Titan. Have they all been season-length seasons?
Yes.
Like part 1, part 2, and part 3?
Each says it.
Fucking wild.
Yeah.
You can't just get away with that.
They are. Something. They are right now. They're doing it right now, live in living color, and the people are loving it. The people are loving it. All those Attack on Titan heads, they're just absolutely loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. I cannot believe it.
Well, you know what? I guess good for them for finding a way to squeeze some extra money out of this series, I guess. I don't know. I guess Breaking Bad kind of did it with their final season that was split into 2 parts, but also those 2 parts were only like 8 episodes each. So it feels a little
Yeah.
more sensible, I guess. I
That's
don't
a
know.
word to use.
Yeah, sensible's not the word I'm looking for, but I'm having trouble finding words today. Apparently,
We're doing our best.
doing our
We're
best.
doing our best
Yeah.
with it. Oh, fantastic! You got any moves? You got any movies?
Yeah, I
Any
got some
news?
moves. I got some moves, and I also got some movie news. So we talked a little bit earlier about Disney basically being its own country. That is very, very true. Because Disney World has been able to basically operate as its own government with its own police, its own fire company, because of the 1967 Reedy Creek Improvement Act, which gave Disney basically authority over itself separate from the state government of Florida. However, in reaction to Disney's we talked a little bit about this a few weeks ago about Disney's flip flopping on the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida after a very, very strong reaction from Disney creators and Disney fans and not fans of Disney. Disney has now launched into what appears to be a pretty staunch opposition to the bill. Where they are also putting a lot of funding into opposing the bill, which has angered Florida Governor DeSantis. Disney has alienated a lot of people now, DeSantis said at a West Palm Beach press conference. And so the political influence they're used to wielding, I think, has dissipated. And so the question is, why would you want to have special privileges in the law at all? And I don't think that we should. DeSantis' remarks followed a revelation that some Republican state lawmakers are considering repealing the 1967 Reedy Creek Improvement Act that gave Disney the power to establish its own government in Central Florida. State Rep Spencer Roach said yesterday was the second meeting in a week with fellow legislators to discuss a repeal of the 1967 Reedy Creek Improvement Act, which allows Disney to act as its own government. If Disney wants to embrace woke ideology, it seems fitting that they should be regulated by Orange County. I have very mixed feelings about a lot of this, because I don't disagree that it's wild that Disney is its own country. It's pretty wild that they were just able to do that, but the reasoning behind this is obviously fucking terrible.
There's a lot of you should, if you're not familiar with the history of Disney and like Walt Disney World, the Disney World Park in Florida, the history behind it, you should seriously go look into it and the plans that Walt had for that park before Walt died. I don't know.
Died?
I've got opinions.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yes. No Nazi sympathizer Walt Disney maybe died and didn't die. But his brother continued on the legacy of what he wanted to be, albeit in a lesser extent. Epcot, the Disney park Epcot was supposed to be the city of the future. I think what does it stand for?
That's a good question.
Let's see here. What is it? Yeah. Because
experimental. I got it. Experimental prototype community of tomorrow.
Experimental prototype community of tomorrow. It was supposed to be an all-in-purpose community where people lived, they shopped, they worked, and they commuted all in the park and everything like that. It was supposed to be a place for them to live. And so that's why they made plans for them to have their own government established essentially there in that park. That never really quite happened, and they just kind of continued having their own little government there. Now they have communities that exist right outside of the Disney park that are kind of Disney-owned towns.
Yeah.
The city of Anaheim in California is a Disney-owned town, essentially, because all the sports teams there are owned by Disney. A lot of the stuff that's there in Anaheim is owned by Disney. I get your mixed feelings on this, Zoe.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, I never want a company to have its own government. That's way too close to cyberpunk for my future, for a cyberpunk future for my comfort.
Mm-hmm.
But I also understand the importance in providing a safe haven away from the Florida government. the dangerous, awful, disgusting Florida government and fucking DeSantis. I hope DeSantis gets eaten by an alligator. I fucking hope he does. It's also weird to see Bob Iger's comments on this whole thing, on this bill and everything. And Bob Iger, not a saint, saying it is reprehensible what is happening with the "Don't Say Gay" bill and the the anti-trans laws in Florida. And I'm like, Bob Iger, really? Damn. 2022, you wildin'. When we hitting Florida with that satellite laser, look, if we can just get Bugs Bunny, I don't know. It's wild. It's wild. But what would happen with wrestling? We wouldn't have wrestling anymore. We wouldn't have AEW wrestling if Florida fell into the ocean. I don't know. It's just such a conflicting. What the fuck?
Yeah, I hesitate to jump into the whole just cut off the whole state, because that is very, that's what people say about Texas and Alabama and other southern states. Yeah,
there are a lot of gay people here.
Yeah, it's not the people of Florida's fault. We just need
We know, Kay. Yeah, we know.
Yep.
Sometimes you just. How about we just hit the fucking Florida State House with those space?
We should just inject acid into the water table, and that whole state will sink because it's all karst anyway. Well, we shouldn't.
Damn.
We shouldn't sink Florida, Leslie.
Damn, geologist Leslie.
Jesus.
Oh my god. Oh my god. All right. Yeah.
I don't even know what karst is. I don't believe that's a real thing. I think Leslie's making up words. She knows we're not geologists, and we won't look into it.
Just how she imposes her will over us. I think it's a good time for you all to know that Leslie is actually the leader of Carrion Comfort Studios. I am just a puppet figurehead, much like Queen Elizabeth, or Governor Ron DeSantis. Perfect.
Terrible.
Perfect.
Terrible.
I've got one more bit of news, and then I am ready to move on here. Once you get in all your news, because I know you have a couple more things here. This is kind of not movie news, but it kind of is tied into movies here. But Marvel has canceled Shang-Chi number 13 and has replaced it with a new series entitled Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This has come after last week where Simu Liu, the star of Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, was saying that he would not sign any Master of Kung Fu comics or other comics deemed offensive. This is after stating that Marvel imprint and Marvel Studios, Shang-Chi, Iron Fist, there was a lot of Orientalism that was involved with those comics when they were first started. And eventually that has changed, and they've become more updated. But Simu Liu has further stated that all autographs from Simu will be signed in English only. He will not sign them in Chinese, like some people has asked him to, and specifically Cantonese, which is completely understandable. Simu Liu is Canadian citizen, and stop committing acts of microaggressions and Orientalism against Asian actors, and also in your comic books. So now, and due to that announcement, Marvel is publishing a new ongoing series for the character called Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, which is number 1. And this is going to be by Jean Luen Yang and Marcus To. And there is going to be no Master of Kung Fu in the title for Simu Liu to object to. I think this is very cool that they're updating the title and they're updating everything like that. I do think that it's kind of odd that they're just like, okay, in response to Simu Liu saying that he's not going to sign our comics and we want people to buy our comics for Simu Liu to sign, we're going to change our title for it. That seems like a very Marvel/Disney decision to make there. Way to go. Way to go. I love rainbow capitalism. And I love it so much. It's great.
Sometimes it's just whatever you got to do to get people to stop being shitty is what it feels like sometimes. Here, you can see this was going to be the Shang-Chi number 13 cover right here. And then you can see the updated one right up here with Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, which honestly looks sick as shit.
Sick as shit. I get, like, the number 13 issue, I get it. They're probably going for, like, more spy-ish thriller, because that's kind of where the story's at. in the comics,
Mm-hmm.
but the fucking new one just looks rad as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Shang-Chi's dope. Shang-Chi's a dope character. Shang-Chi is fantastic. Has had a lot of problems in the past, but there have been a lot of super dope comics that have come out recent years that are just great. And you should check them out. You should just go have fun and just go read some comics. I got comics this past week.
Yeah.
I got Immortal X-Men. This is my variant cover. I got the original cover, and I got the variant cover over here with Mr. Sinister. But Immortal X-Men #1, starting the Destiny of X storyline written by Kieran Gillen, and then, of course, the latest saga. And we've got a new issue of Saga coming out in a few weeks.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
I need to go pick up my box.
Yeah, go hit up that pull box. Yep, go hit up that pull box. Stay tuned for more news, maybe related to comic books that I've been kind of talking with Derek about. So let's see. We'll see if something comes of it. But yeah, what other news you got for us today?
That sounds very interesting. Well, speaking of Marvel Comics, I have some more Marvel comic news. Disney Plus's Moon Knight series, which only recently saw the release of its premiere episode, has been the subject of review bombing on IMDb, owing to the fact that the show acknowledged a historical event that the nation of Turkey has consistently denied, the Armenian genocide. Yep. Alongside seemingly legitimate one-star reviews on the site, several viewers have criticized the mention of the Armenian genocide, insisting that no such event took place and that the show is serving as propaganda, some going so far as to call the show racist. Similar comments and one-star reviews have appeared on Rotten Tomatoes, though the vast majority of audiences have provided a positive review of the show. I don't even know what to say about this. It sucks. It sucks shit so much. I hate it. I hate everything about it. Yeah. I don't know. What do you say about, what do you even say about it? There's not much to say. People suck. It really sucks when media gets review bombed for stuff like this. There was a game. Oh, what was? Who? Hold on, I'll look this up. The people who made Detention also made another game called Devotion, which also got review bombed because, let me see here, I don't remember the exact.
Because of Winnie the Pooh, Xi Jinping. Yep, it's a Taiwanese game developer.
Yep, players discovered a Hulu talisman decorating a wall in the game containing the words Xi Jinping, Winnie the Pooh in Chinese seal script, which of course is the meme about Jinping looking like Winnie the Pooh, which the man is not a fan of, which, you know what, fair, but also fuck off, I don't know.
Yeah, this also reminds me of the time when John Cena recognized Taiwan as an independent country, and a lot of his Chinese fans got mad at him. So in broken Mandarin, John Cena formally apologized to the people of China for making awareness that the fact that Taiwan is its own independent country, and it kind of sounds like a similar situation to that as well.
I forgot that happened, but I remember it. I remember it now that you mentioned it, and it was very upsetting in a very weird way to see happen. Yeah.
Just want to give a shout out though. Also, today is Armenian Appreciation Day. It is not Armenian Genocide Awareness Day or Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day. That is on April 24th. To bring awareness and appreciation and not appreciation, but remembrance to the people, the lives lost during the Armenian genocide. It is a real thing that happened. Please do not get it twisted. It actually happened. It definitely happened. No doubt about it. But yes, just shout out Armenian Appreciation Day. So wild for people to just kind of like, out of the entire show, they're like, a one line uttered by a character, just for giving acknowledgement to the thing that actually happened, is enough for us to review bomb it. Just wild people out there. Yeah. Wild people out there.
Okay, from the sound of it, I don't think it's John Cena's fault that he went and apologized. From the sound of it, he was forced to. by his
Yes.
employers.
Yes.
That was not a decision he made to apologize, I'm sure.
Yes.
It's very similar. I'm about to talk about stuff that I don't know very much about, but I know that there's like some weird shit in that regards with pro wrestling and Saudi Arabia.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
blood money. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We
Um,
can talk. Oh, ooh.
let's talk about that next week. I'll actually look some stuff up because it's
We'll do.
something I have a passing familiarity with. Um, but yeah, it's I think it's an instance of entertainers being forced to oh God, what's the word?
Toe the company line to
Yeah,
support
yeah, yeah,
company
yeah.
policies or to support policies that the company might not support, but the biggest investors for the company might support.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have to show a little bit of graciousness to your to the Chinese market.
Yep.
Actually got into a disagreement on our Discord about this recently about finding the distinguishing remarks that calling out foreign policies of different nations as being gross and terrible and awful does not equate to being racist remarks because it is not put upon a race of people. It's put upon a foreign government's policies that are dangerous. That was me talking about how the Chinese government prefers to silence and terrorize LGBTQ creators and directors and do not allow gay films. That is why Disney will never be wholly gay. It's one of these things like everybody's like, oh, we will, Disney has had their first gay character in this movie like so many times. Have you ever noticed that those characters are always easily editable out characters, or they're easily editable out moments?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is the Chinese market. You can thank the Chinese national cinema for that. So you will never have a Disney movie where the prime thing is a character being gay as long as Disney gets a lot of money from China, or until China changes their policies on that. That's just kind of one of those things that you just kind of have to recognize that happens in the movie industry. So that's why you go and you support independent filmmakers that are making very gay fucking movies out there, and you support them.
Hell yeah.
We
Cool.
stand with the independent nation of Taiwan. I will not be like John Cena, and I also stand with Armenian viewers, the people of Armenia, because the Armenian genocide was a thing that actually really happened, and that's such a weird thing for people to just fucking latch on to.
Yep. I have one more piece of news after that that is thankfully a lot less heavy.
Thank
Although it may
goodness.
come as sad news to some. Jim Carrey has announced that he may be retiring from acting. Jim Carrey told Access Hollywood, "Well, I'm retiring. Yeah, probably. I'm being fairly serious." He went on to say, "It depends. If the Angels bring some sort of script that's written in gold ink that says to me that it's going to be really important for people to see, I might continue down the road, but I'm taking a break." Which, to be honest, is a sentence I had to read a lot to be able to parse. But that's Jim Carrey sometimes. Jim Carrey added, "I really like my quiet life, and I really like putting paint on canvas, and I really love my spiritual life, and I feel like, and this is something you might never hear another celebrity say as long as time exists, I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough." Jim Carrey, from my recollection, has said this sort of thing before.
Yep.
Before Sonic the Hedgehog, I think he was technically retired from acting for about 5 years.
Yep.
Since God, what was the last movie he was in before that? I had it up and then I got rid of it. Was it Kick-Ass 2? Was he in Kick-Ass 2?
Yeah, he was in Kick-Ass
Okay.
2.
Yeah, I believe that was it then. He was in Kick-Ass 2 and then Sonic brought him out of retirement. But if he sticks with it now, that would make Dr. Robotnik in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 his final role, which would be a bold statement.
Very bold statement to make. I am very I'm very on the fence with Jim Carrey. I love Jim Carrey's movies. I love Jim Carrey as a performer. Jim Carrey as a person. What a life he has led, and what many experiences he's had to leave, and what controversies surround him, because he doesn't have normal celebrity controversies. He has things like him being involved in his wife's death and things of that nature, and he has some very, very pointed opinions on celebrity scandal and things of that nature. I don't know. That's not me. Not me.
Sonic is a script written in gold ink that people need to see. You are absolutely right.
I cannot wait to see Sonic 2. I absolutely cannot wait to view that. A Poetic Cinema. I hope that one of us wins the Sonic Xbox as well.
I really hope so. I want those gross fuzzy controllers so bad,
gross,
just
so
to be able to
fuzzy.
say, "Look what I have! Look upon my controllers, ye mighty and despair."
Despair. People are gonna be like, "Are you gonna actually use those?" I'll be like, "No, they're gonna sit in there with the Xbox. I won't even turn the Xbox on. It'll just be on display over there in my display case. I'll probably move the Marvel toys I have down, and then put the Xbox there.
Yeah.
Right between Silver Surfer and others. Who knows? I'm not gonna win that thing. I don't know why.
It might be one of us. Everyone has a chance. Probably, maybe, probably not. We'll see. I don't know. I'm also excited to see Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I did not see the first one, but I like Idris Elba a lot. So I think I'm going at some point in the next 2 weeks while I have off work. Me and someone might be going to see Sonic. Cool. Well, that is all the movie news that I had. So are you ready to play our game for the week?
Yeah, 1 second. Let me go ahead and make a little wipe there. Da 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 da. Also, before we go here, thank you so much for tuning into Carrion Comfort News. This is it's been very fun. I like doing this every Sunday with you, Zoe. This is very fun, and I look forward to it each week.
Me too.
Because we get to discuss everything that happens. So be sure to follow Zoe at Twi'lek43 on Twitter and all those good things, and you can follow me on Twitter as well. And that is it for Carrion Comfort News. But stay tuned because we have a very special game